Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. RT Bear here. Ah, I hit that button and I forgot I hit that button. So we are live right now. How is everybody doing? It's a Thursday morning, and I'm getting a little bit of a late start. It's almost 11 o'clock here in Texas. So I usually start around 10 and I go for a couple hours till noon. So I don't know how long this one's going to go. They usually go for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So we'll see what we can do. I actually have a show for you guys today. It's going to be educational. What is a finisher? So I'm going to explain what a finish ink artist is in comic books. So this should be fun, educational, and all that good stuff. And also, I tied the education in to promotion. So that's always my best, educate while promoting. So I got some black and white pages from volume 3 that I'm going to show the process, the finish process on how I did them. And I got another piece of artwork that I'm going to show you a process of layout, pencils, inks, colors, all that kind of stuff. So as always, you guys, this is interactive. So feel free to chime in the chat, ask me any questions. Even though I have a show, I'm still not, I'm still welcoming chat comments. So we got Past Master Dan. Good morning. Hello, RT Bear. Hope you're feeling good, my friend. Give a second shared. Yes, you guys. Please follow Past Master Dan, his example, and hit that like and share out if you can. Much appreciated. We got Brent Mackey. Hey, Art, how are you? I'm doing good, man. I hope you're doing good as well, Brent. Like I said before, interactive. So you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. And once again, I hope everybody's doing good. So you know what? I'm going to get right into this. So we got stuff to promote. I got stuff happening. I'm excited. Always feel good when I have stuff to share, when I have stuff to create. And that's what I'm doing right now. So this is the art of RT Bear, Oodles of Doodles, and other stuff too. You guys, this is the site for my pre-launch sign-up page. So if you sign up, you will be eligible with the backing for a free mini print. And this will be an exclusive mini print. So only the signer-uppers, the early signer-uppers will get these. And it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be very, very cool. So, yes, you guys, this is the art book. So it is going to be 8.5 by 12. It is magazine size. It is hardbound. So it is going to be a beautiful, beautiful book. And it is going to have 59 glossy stock pages. And then I wrote, but you can help add more. So what I would like to do, since going to Indiegogo and doing these crowd funds, I think they're always best when we're creating something together. So this book already exists in this 59-page format with this cover that you're looking at right now. But what I would like to do with your help is I have a design for a new cover, and I'll show that. I have the layout, but I'm not. Well, should I show it on this stream? Maybe I will. Yeah, it'll depend on what you guys say. If I get enough, yes, show the layout, I'll show the layout. If not, I'll save it for another show. But I have an alternate layout for Oodles. So that will be for the second printing. But this is the cover right now. So this is the cover with the dust jacket with the black around it. And like I said, it's 59 pages. But I'd like to add 8 new pages as well. And I would like those pages to have Comicsgate stuff. So I've been doing some Comicsgate artwork, some commissions, various things, and I would like to bring those into this book. And I think that would be very, very cool. And we could create a new second printing version. So the original version will exist, but hopefully if we can get the crowdfund up and we can hit those stretch goals, then we'll have a new cover and we'll have 8 new pages. And I'm going to do the pages as 4 increments. So it'll be 4 pages as a stretch goal and then 4 more later and so on and so forth. Because every time you change things, you get a new cover, extra pages. It costs you a little bit more in the printing. So the stretch goals will reflect that. And also, I think this is going to be a pretty tight campaign. So I don't know how you guys are going to respond to an art book. I haven't really done. The first time I did this was on Kickstarter, and it was years before Comicsgate. So I'm bringing it back. I got a lot of people asking, like, do I still have any of these? No, they're completely sold out. And I Google searched, and on eBay, some of these books are going for $90, $100 with the in pristine condition with a sketch inside. So yeah, these books are sought after. They're beautiful, beautiful books. And right now, all I'm asking for you to do is to give me your email address. Go click on that site. The link is in the description. I'll also throw that link into the chat. If it's not already in there, Past Master is usually on top of this stuff. But if not, I'll put it in there, and you guys can click that, sign up real quick, and then come right back. I would appreciate it. And these things, these pre-launch, give a lot of confidence to the campaign, because the more names and things you can get, the more confidence you have going forward. And so these things are always risky propositions. And so the more we can get signed up, the more people we can get interested in this, the better. So here's some of the interior pages, you guys. This, like I said, this book is gorgeous. The pages are amazing. And there's going to be a lot of never seen stuff. There's going to be some stuff like this cable. It's from '94. It's re-inked digitally, remastered, if you will, recolored. And so all kinds of stuff like head sketches from conventions, commissions, cover work that I did. There's a lot of sketch stuff in there, like prelim stuff. There's a Superman action cover that I did years ago, and there's all my layouts for it. So I think there's 3 or 4 different layouts that I gave to the editor to give them a choice of which one they wanted to use. And so those will be in there, and those, you'll never see those things. So you'll only see those in these type of books, and specifically this book, as far as my work is concerned. So this is The Art of Artie Bear, Oodles of Doodles, and other stuff too, you guys. It is a gorgeous book. It has already been printed, but it's completely sold out. I think the original print run was 500, so we completely sold out of 500. We're going to do something similar. We're going to do 500, and they'll be signed and numbered. So these are all going to be numbered and very, very collectible. So I'm coming back. Let's see if we got some new people in the house. Yeah, look at Past Master. He is on it. Thanks for posting that. Wow, my light, I'm losing my light already. I was going to go with natural lighting. And then here in Texas, we get a lot of cloud cover. So 1 minute it's really, really bright, and then the next minute the clouds come over and there's a little bit of a shadow on things. So let's see. Take Past Master Dan's advice, you guys. Give me a thumbs up, please. It does help the algorithms. Hey, speaking of California, Trevor Cameron, good morning, Mr. T Bear. Thanks again for the comp cards. They look amazing. No, thank you for doing the artwork. So Trevor Cameron was one of the winners of the black and white trading card contest. So his artwork was chosen and was made into a card. So all the winners, we gave a stack of cards to. And what I did is I encouraged everybody to do like a resume on the back, kind of like a bio, and have their contact on, so they could kind of use them as business cards too. So that was at least the idea there. House of R, hello, Mr. T Bear, hello, chat. How you doing, brother? John says, very excited. I hope you're excited for that Oodles of Doodles book. And then he says, black and white 1 and 2 were a lot of fun. Yeah, I am well into working on 3. So as far as volume 3, we're going to do volume 3 and 4 the same way we did 1 and 2. So we're going to do 2 different crowd funds, and those books will probably be about, I don't know, 62, 64 pages, somewhere in that, count. And so there'll be 2, so it'll be over 100. It'll be like 120, 130 page story. So the 2 volumes will make 1 story. And I'm really, really trying to get this stuff done quicker. Hey, there's Pamela. She's coming up the stairs.
Is Kevin on your stream?
You want to talk to Kevin? Let me see. I don't see Kevin. Hey, Kevin, if you're in the chat, or if you're listening right now, give me a sign of life, because I think Pamela wants to ask you a question.
No, I want to tell him.
Well, I don't know. He's not showing up yet. Sometimes it takes a while. There's a little bit of a delay. So if he shows up, I'll let you know.
Okay. Thanks.
So that's alert for you, Kevin Thompson. And so we're doing volume 1 and we're going to do 3 and 4 the same way we did volume 1 and 2. Hopefully, we'll be able to get them done a lot quicker and to you a lot quicker. That's the goal. So I'm working with Aaron Sparrow right now. I'm bringing in outside people. So I realized that as much fun as I had doing everything on volume 2, on volume 3 and 4, I'm going to bring in some help. So I got Aaron Sparrow to co-write with me, and we pretty much have 3 and 4 blocked out. So we know our beginning, middle, and end of the story. So that's there, that's in stone. And so as far as volume 3, we have detailed beats, beginning, middle, and end. So we pretty much know that structure. And then we're about 30 pages into full script. So full script, written, dialogue, everything. And one thing too is I'm going to be working with a breakdown artist, and that's one of the things I want to explain to you guys, the finishing breakdown. So I'm going to be working with Alan Patrick. He did the epilogue in volume 2, so the 4-page epilogue. So I tried him out on that. It worked out really good. I want to say he's fast, but not necessarily. I think he is fast, but I think he just does many, many different projects. So I'm hoping to get 2 pages a week from him, and then we can continue. And so what I'm hoping is that by the end of this year, we will have inventoried hopefully half the book, at least half the book, if not more. And when I say half, pencils, inks, well, full script. So the book will be completely written. We'll have breakdowns, which pencils, and then we'll have finishes, which are inks. So we'll have those done, and hopefully we'll have Brian back. He wants to do the coloring, so he's just waiting for pages. I have a few pages for him right now, but I want to get the whole scene done and then send it out to him so he can see the beginning, middle, and end of the scene, so he'll know where he's going with the coloring. And we'll have 30 pages done by the time we launch the campaign. So that's the goal, is to try to get as much work done before the campaign even launches. So that's the goal. Okay, so did I put my link? I'm going to put my link into the description. This is for the Oodles book. So there you go. Like I said, click it, go sign up, come back. But thank you so much, John. I do appreciate it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So we got Omer Glitch. Hello, all. What's up? We got Ancient or Agent Cub. Oh, that must be one of your concepts. That looks pretty cool. Looks like a bear human, a human bear. What's up, RT Bear? Did I pronounce your name right? Yeah, T Bear. It is a T Bear. So I kind of write it phonetically in the thing here. Hey, Aunt Pam. I'll tell her you said hi, Past Master. Okay, yeah, and this is the book right here. So, like I said, the Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. This book does exist. So this is without the dust cover. So this is what the cover looks like without the dust cover on it. So it is a gorgeous book, you guys. This one has the UV coating, so you can kind of see the shiny and the dull. You can see it better on the back. There you go. And it just compiles 40 years, a 40-year career. So here's the first page. Like I said, it's just a gorgeous book. Taylor Grosso, who used to work at the studio, has an excellent sense of graphics, graphic design. So she helped me out on this book. So that's her little moniker, her logo. So here's the cable stuff. So you get to see the inks, which don't really look good on the camera, but the color stuff looks pretty good. And so there's some commission work, some prints that I had made up. Let me find some other good stuff. Pinup Girls, boop, 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 boop. Some cover work. So there's prelim stuff on the side there. As you can see the pen and ink. You can see the little cover doodles, and then you can see the finished cover there with the coloring. Pencils, inks on the side, colors. So there's some process stuff. Here's some flash covers that I penciled and inked. Hard to see, but just all kinds of fun stuff in here. Some commission work. Hard to see. There we go. Adam West Batman. Let me see. I gotta find one more cool one, and then that'll be it. Oh, there's some kind of there's sketch stuff from like Chronos, behind the scenes stuff, developmental work. So there's some IP stuff in here. Let me see. There's a kid show. Well, this is called Hit. So that was an Adult Swim show that I put together, and then this is for little girls, Rock and Roll Bots. So there's all kinds of fun stuff in here. So there's like some of the stuff I did for cartoon shows. There's commission work. There's covers, just all kinds of stuff in here. It is a fantastic looking book. And so we're going to be bringing that back. So please sign up and be eligible for that free print. Bear Assassin. Is it Bear Assassin TM Agent Cub? That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. Spider Gwen. Hey, Mandy Summers. What's up? How are you? My favorite part is the art by art. That's what my website's called too. It's called Art by T-Bear. Trevor says, I remember that cover of Captain Action. Yeah. Trevor used to work at Hack Shack Studios with me. Worked there for a couple years, man. Good stuff. Very talented individual. And if you don't know, go follow Trevor. I know I follow him on Facebook. So he posts his artwork every once in a while on that. So pretty talented individual, as I said. Well, thank you so much, Mandy. I do appreciate that. That's a pretty cool thing to say. And also, Mandy has a killer YouTube channel. So go over there and sign up. Sign up. I am sold. One oodles for me. Killer. So thank you, House of R. So that's part of the business taken care of. I hope this is good because the lighting keeps changing. So now I look like I'm a little bit in the dark. Let me see here. If I move this a little closer, maybe if I turn this on. Like I said, the lighting always, that's too much. Well, it's good on me, but it's not good for the background. All right, we'll keep that on. We'll see how that goes for a while. All right, so we got the oodles out of the way. So Black and White Volume 3. I'm working every day on. At the same time, I'm putting together the Oodles of Doodles and other stuff 2 campaign, which will be launching next month. So we're almost done with this month. So very, very, very soon. Oh man, thank you, Mandy. Thanks for the shout out, Art. Much love to you guys. Right back at you. I do appreciate that. And she's a creator juggernaut. She's a juggernaut, baby. I was gonna say she's the juggernaut, bitch. Wasn't that the line in the X-Men comic or movie? I'm the juggernaut, bitch. But yeah, she's the juggernaut without the bitch part. Um, but yeah, so I got Alan Patrick. He's doing breakdowns. So I'm going to show you his work, and then I'm doing finishes. So I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what they are, what a breakdown is and what a finish is. So most of my career, a lot of my career, I worked as a finisher versus an inker. So usually you get thrown into that same category, like, well, you're an inker. What a finisher does is they're kind of like a hybrid of a penciler and an inker. So if you think about them as like they're both those things. So they ink it, they finish the look based on a very rudimental drawing, like something that's like kind of bare bones, no shadowing, no hatching, none of that kind of stuff. So then you bring that stuff into the work as a penciler would. So that's, I'll get more into detail because it's a little complicated. People have a hard time understanding it. So I'm going to try to do my best to explain it, and so you guys will know exactly what the process is. So hold on, I get dry. So as far as finishing, my first finished work was on Dan Jurgens' Adventures of Superman. So to keep the schedule going and everything, and I'm not sure why they did this actually. I never asked Mike Carlin, but I was brought in to finish Dan Jurgens' work. So he would give me rudimental drawings, like rudimentary drawings, very basic stuff. Basically just outlines of stuff. So storytelling, proportion, composition, those things were all there. But as far as shading, hatching, rendering, none of that stuff was there. And so I did that, worked on that book for about 3 years, did finishes. I didn't know what finishes were at the time. I could kind of tell what was needed, and I had a basic explanation. But what really, really opened my eyes to what it was is I used to hang out at the Chaikin Studios. I lived real close, and Chaikin's writing partner, John Moore, was my roommate. So I would go down there and hang out. I remember asking, Howard was kind of my Yoda at the time. I was lucky to have some really good people in my life early on. So I had Jim Valentino and then Howard Chaikin. And I asked Howard, I said, so what are finishes? He goes, basically, you can do whatever the hell you want. And if you guys know Howard Chaikin, that really fits. And so I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, whatever you put down is what it's going to look like. So you dictate the look of the book. So the penciler doesn't, you do. So I was like, ooh. So saying that to a creative person, that's like, yeah, your imagination goes crazy and you start thinking, well, if I can do anything, this is going to be a lot of fun. So it's not just, as Kevin Smith would say, tracing lines. It's not just tracing lines. It's not just going over lines. And also, when I started 40 years ago, pencilers penciled really loose. So an inker's job was kind of to tighten up the pencils anyways, because schedules are always really tight. And so a penciler was just really concentrating on getting the bare storytelling essentials on the page. And then the inker was there to make it look all polished and finished. That was without finishes. So they were just like really loose pencils. So most inkers in the day had some kind of pencil skills because they needed them to finish stuff up. So, well, not to finish it, I got to come up with a different term, to polish it, to make it look complete, to tighten it up maybe. And so, yeah, Jim Valentino is very, very cool. It's a good guy, good guy. I don't know who Nick, is that Nick Ricada? Knows a little bit about finishing. I don't know what that means. Uh, so yeah, so that's what I would do. So then when I went back to work on Superman after talking to Howard, I was like really energized because all of a sudden I could do anything I wanted. So when I started working in this business, I got pencil work at DC Comics and I got ink work at Marvel Comics on exactly the same day. So I started as a penciler and an inker. I didn't ink my own stuff. I inked other people, but then, I would pencil stuff, and sometimes I'd get to ink it if the schedule would let me. But sometimes it'd be like Pablo Marcos or different people that would ink me in the day. So I always had those skills. I had pencil skills and I had ink skills. And when I was starting in the business, I didn't really, there was no internet or anything. So I thought those guys did everything anyways, like pencil ink, writing, pencil inking, lettering, coloring, all those things. So all my, like when I was a kid, just drawing comic books, I did all those things. And I never really distinguished between the two. I always just thought that's what you do. So there was never in my mind there was just an inker or just a penciler or any of those things. It was the whole package, of finishing the artwork. So that's kind of like where my mindset was. And then later, working with Jim Lee and Whilce Portacio, Whilce was getting, we inherited a bad schedule on that Uncanny X-Men. So we were always behind schedule. So to get ahead of schedule, since I was faster than most as far as inking, they asked me to do finishes on Whilce Portacio. So there's a lot of those books that I didn't get credit for doing finishes, but Whilce was giving me breakdowns, and then I was going in there and all that rendering, everything that you see, the shadowing, I created it, I penciled it in, and then I inked it. So there was that, and I did some other finish work, before then. And then Jim Lee was getting behind on X-Men. And so I think about issue 5 or issue 6, Jim asked me to come in to do finishes on X-Men. So then I was doing the same thing I was doing with Whilce, I was doing with Jim. So he was giving me breakdowns, loose pencils, no rendering, no shadowing, and then I would come in and add all those details. So all that crazy line work and stuff like that, that was done by me, not penciled by Jim. So it's kind of a thankless job, because if you're doing your job right, you shouldn't see any difference. It shouldn't look like Jim didn't pencil it. So that was kind of my training, my career up to that point. And then after that, I wouldn't always necessarily get breakdown work, but I would get loose pencils because editors knew that I could finish them up. So usually they stopped just giving me more money for finishes, and they would just give me loose pencils and not any more money, which is, par for the course. But okay, excuse me, do finishers get paid more than just an inker? Yes, finishers, not hers, do get paid more money, and they get a bigger royalty. So I believe that if you do finishes, you get a third more, and also you get a third more in royalties. I think it's been a while since I've done that. And also, as far as pages, it's usually as far as art returns with pages, it's 1/3, 2/3. So penciler gets 2/3, inker gets 1/3. So if you do finishes, it's 50-50. So you get as many pages back as the penciler does. So that's an advantage as well. So let me see. Art usually finishes first. He's quick. You're damn right. Oh, that'd be fun. That could be cool. Yeah, all the different like IP. It would look cool to do like a totem pole. What do they call those? It's like those tikis that are kind of all stacked on top of each other. You know, they have different faces and stuff. Do something like that, like a tiki with different IP. Let me see what Joe says. Good morning, Joe Bernardo. Art, you were the closer on the team. Closer on the team. Closer. Closer on the team. The art that they needed to finish the game and throw down the three or close the game with the touchdown. Art Montana T. Bear. I think that's a sports analogy. Well, thank you for that. All right. Well, you know what? Oh, that's cool. Please, please, each king should design one. I'd buy them all. That would be fun to do like little laser printed tikis of our characters. I wonder if there's anybody that has those kind of design skills because I don't know if I could really do it, but that would be fun. Because I actually we used to go on vacation to different, you know, like Maui or where else, different like Hawaiian islands, and I get tikis, so I have them around the studio. I can't see any right now, but that could be fun, man. I'm not well. Maybe I will try to say this. Canocron. All right, I hope I said that right. Hey, Art. This is this is Cedric. Oh, hey, Cedric. Love this backstory on the finished work on the X books. If you haven't talked about it yet, can you discuss what the deadline was like back? Oh my gosh, in the early 90s. Oh my gosh, Cedric. Cedric is a brilliant artist. If this is, I think this is Cedric. Everybody uses code names. He worked at Extreme Studios, very, very, very talented artist, and one of the saner people that work over at that studio. Always the voice of reason and common sense. And he used to hang out with Mark Basella a lot. Don't hold that against him because Mark is not reason and common sense. No, he is. He is. He's a good guy. I'm just joking. The schedules were so bad. They were so bad, but the money was so good. So we all killed ourselves. So in the day, there were four of us. So there was Jim Lee, Will Spertaccio, Scott Williams, and myself. So we were a complete team. So if Scott couldn't do something, I would do it. It very rarely would Scott. I don't think Scott ever filled in for me on anything. Maybe once, and I think that was a trick. He got a Magneto splash page from me because he already knew it was on it. I didn't know it was on it, so I didn't get to ink that page. I don't know if he got credit for that, but anyways, there was a lot of back and forth. So it was like whatever it took to get the book done. So I think there was a lot of ghost penciling too. Wills would work with Jim. Jim would work with Wills. They had an assistant that they worked with as well. So, and then I ran Hack Shack Studios. So at the time, I had Trevor Scott, brilliant, brilliant talent, and I had Danny Mickey, brilliant talent as well. So these guys were early stages. They weren't quite the talent that we know and love now. So sometimes to get ahead of the schedule, Jim would send backgrounds to be inked for Scott. So then we would just ink the backgrounds. So, you know, Danny or Trevor, mostly Trevor would ink the backgrounds, rocket ships, backgrounds, whatever it was. He would ink those up and then we'd ship them back. Because we lived in like Orange County. Hack Shack was in Orange County. And it was called Homage at the time instead of Wildstorm, was in San Diego. So it was maybe a 2-hour drive. Well, from where I was in the South Bay, it was longer. So it was a little bit of a haul, maybe 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. I don't remember what it was actually. But we were close, but not that close. So there was a lot of back and forth, but there was an agreement that we wouldn't let any outside people touch these pages. It was just the four of us. So whatever it took, that's what we did. We still ended up having to ship pages out just because of schedule issues, but we did everything. We killed ourselves to make sure that it stayed between the four of us. So having said that, these schedules were going down to a week from shipping. I'm not kidding. So like Marvel was paying for like next day delivery for like a single page. Like there was a Delta Dash, there was a what was it? Was it TWA Next or something? There was next day. There were like different one day services. So Federal Express was usually like the next day, but it would be like a day. These guys could get it like if you shipped it out like at 3 o'clock in the morning, they would get it by noon the next day, right? So that's how these schedules were going. They were going down to the wire. So I remember some deadlines where I would work till like 3 o'clock in the morning. I would get in my car, and I lived in the South Bay. South Bay is LA. These are the LA beaches like Manhattan Beach, Redondo, Hermosa. So LAX is right there. It's really close. So I would schedule like time on this flight, whatever. I would drive my car down. It was almost on the tarmac, like these TWA Next things. Like you drive up and you would hand them the box. They would fill out the paperwork. They'd give you a receipt. And they'd put it right on the plane. Like you didn't really even go into the terminal. I forget there was another entrance. It was really, really strange. And I think it was like $100 a pop. So some of the schedules went down to days. And so I would get authorized by Bob Harris. It's like, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. So I would drive down. I'd send this TWA Next or whatever, Delta Dash, and it would get there within hours. And so then they could make the shipping. And these were costing Marvel $100, at a time. And some, like I said, sometimes it was just one page. So towards the end of a deadline, I might do this 3 times an issue. So that's $300 a shot. But these books were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. So now the light's coming out. See how it changes? So so I was using that stuff all the time, and so were those guys to get me pages quicker. They were sending stuff out that way. Sometimes they were hiring couriers to drive from San Diego to the LA beaches. I lived in Manhattan, I lived in Hermosa, and I lived in Redondo. So I had studios in each one of those areas. And so, there would be a courier, and they would just drive up to the studio and hand me a page, and I'd open it and start inking right away because there was no wasted time. And so, like I said, a lot of times we were weeks, like a week maybe from shipping. And so this went on through the whole run. Like everything was just crazy. So when Jim left X-Men and I got to do the fill-in X-Men 12 and 13, I got to do pencils and inks. It was a fill-in to give time for Andy Kubert to come in, so he could theoretically get 2 months ahead on schedule. So Marvel wouldn't always be behind. So I was kind of like the fill-in guy to get the book back on schedule. So I did 12 and 13, but there was even less time on that book. And now I was penciling and inking. So issue 12, I did most of the inking. Danny, Mickey, and Trevor Scott helped me a little bit. And then on 13, the shit was really hitting the fan. There was no time. So that was all hands on deck. And I remember Dan Penosian, who was a good friend at the time. He lived in Florida, but he'd come and stay with me quite often. And so he would work in the studio. So he helped out on issue 13, I believe. So he did a lot of heavy lifting on that. So that was cool. So those books were always insane, just insane. I remember racing my car to LAX because I had to get it on that flight. So we were working, like I was literally working to a flight time. Like I had to get that. It was crazy. So I had to get that page done by like that 3 o'clock or whatever it is to get on the 3:30 flight or whatever that was, right? This is before frickin' 9/11 and everything else. You could just drive right up and there wasn't all the crazy security and stuff like that. So I remember just racing it and I was going to miss the plane. And so I don't like to say this, but money makes you do crazy things. Stress makes you do crazy stuff. I was literally running like, oh, red lights. I was running stop signs. I was running red lights. I was doing a lot of illegal stuff, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning too. There wasn't a lot of traffic to get to the plane. So there was really, really, everybody was working so hard, and we were all young. And like I said, the money was really good, so we didn't mind killing ourselves at the time. We didn't mind killing ourselves. There's no way I could do it now. There's absolutely no way. So I hope that brought back old memories for you, Cedric. There's still talk about these tikis. Joe says tiki symbolizes power, knowledge, wisdom, and wealth. I'm all those things. Whatever happened to Trevor Scott? I don't know if I should say the truth. I think Trevor was having some hard times, not just financially, but just travel. And so I think it was a financial thing, and he was kind of starting to to not keep up his end of the bargain in the studio. So I had to ask him to leave, and it broke my heart because he's a really good guy, does great work, but I just couldn't handle the frustration. So one thing about working in comics is you can have somebody really, really talented, but if they're not dependable, or they're not giving you the work, or they're becoming troublesome, you just can't keep it up, because there's the stress of the job, and then there's the stress of that, and it's just too much. So I never really held it against him. So I don't think he did either. So I hope he's doing well. He's still drawing, which is cool. It makes me feel good. So that's that. So that's all I really know. I don't live in California anymore, and I didn't really hang out too much with them afterwards, because he lived in LA County. I lived in like kind of Orange County area. So we didn't live close. So he didn't have a car. So he was taking the bus, he was taking trains, and all that stuff's expensive. Like, they build a train, like a high-speed train, and then they charge people $1 billion to travel on it, and then buses, things like that. Unreliable and expensive. I don't like that. There's a thing about human nature that you exploit the weak. So if you show weakness, they'll exploit it. So if you don't have a car in California, you can't afford it, they'll exploit you as far as transportation. So buses will be expensive, trains will be expensive, all that kind of stuff. So I think there was a lot of things that led up to it. I don't remember the details. It's a little grainy. Yeah, I know. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to try something. Let's see if I turn this on. When I set the camera up and everything, it was good, and then there was too much light coming in. So hopefully that's better, but the light will keep changing. So let me see. Thanks for that, Joe. I appreciate it. Always awesome to hear these stories. someone told me Silvestri visited your home in Manhattan Beach, and he ended up hitting his head over the dining room table light because he's so tall, and you had this hanging light over the table. Yeah, he did that, and you know what? It was like the studio was upstairs, so it was a townhouse in Redondo, so it was a split level. It was beautiful. It was a condo, and so uh, there was a balcony. You could see the beach. It was nice, man. I liked the South Bay was where we lived. Like if you just went like a few blocks in, it becomes like a dump. But the closer you are to the beach, the nicer it is. So we were really close to the beach, and so um, he we hung out socially before, but when Image was starting, people needed resources. They needed inkers, they needed colors, stuff like that. So Mark and his girlfriend at the time, fiance, whatever, they came over, and so I remember him coming in the door. He's a tall dude, and I mean, I was coming down the stairs, so my perspective was a little different, but he looked like that he sort of had to bend to get into a 7-foot doorway, and then to get up the stairs was a little steep, and it was like a lower ceiling, so it almost seemed like he had to kind of bend down to get up into the studio. And see, now there's too much light. Hold on, this is starting to piss me off. Texas. Maybe if I shut these all the way, I shut these blinds so there's no light coming in. So I'm just using artificial light like it's nighttime. This might work. Still grainy. Let me see. Turn this around. Well, I don't know if it's grainy now. A little better. I just want some consistency. That's all I want. And so, yeah, so Mark came over, and he needed an inker for Cyberforce. And so we worked out a deal at dinner. So my wife cooked dinner. It was a good time. Mark's a funny guy, and we had dinner, and he pitched Cyberforce to me, and said he needed an inker. So at the time, I said yes. So Mark and I had a little bit of a misunderstanding, and we had a little bit of a rift later because I was supposed to leave Marvel about the same time they did. But Bob Harris offered me Cable to pencil and ink. And I knew that was going to be a big book. And I kind of wanted to have something at Marvel that was big, that when I came over to Image, I would have a name, more than just not than just an inker, but a name as far as a creative person, penciler kind of thing. And so the idea was I was going to do that as long as I could, see how Image developed, because I did a lot of that book working out of Extreme Studios. So I was working at Marvel the same time I was kind of working at Image. So it wasn't like there was just, I quit one and then started the other. There was overlap. And so I think Mark saw me doing the Cable job and then going to Extreme. And the only reason I went to Extreme was it was closer to my house. I had just bought a home in Corona, and it was closer. I didn't live in the South Bay anymore, because the South Bay is where Mark lived. Mark lived in Manhattan Beach. I lived in Redondo at the time. So we were closer. And so I moved. So there was none of that anymore. So there wasn't that kind of proximity thing. So anyway, I don't know this for sure. I don't really know what happened because we never talked about it. But the Cyberforce thing never happened. I assumed he would follow it up. I assumed that when he got pages and when he got set up, because everybody was setting up studios, there was a lot of stuff going on, that he would give me a call, but he never did. And then, you know, you do conventions and you kind of see each other from time to time in different places. And he gave me the cold shoulder for, I don't know, maybe a year or so, maybe 2 years after that. You know, he kind of gave me the cold shoulder. And I could tell that there was something wrong. But the thing is, that some people will like, well, what's wrong? What's going on? They'll ask questions like, you know, why are you being like this? Whatever. I'm not like that. Like, I always think like, as soon as I ask that question, shit's gonna hit the fan, and I don't want it to hit the fan, so I'm just gonna avoid it. So I don't ask like, what's wrong, you know, because I know that it's gonna come back on me. Like I'm gonna be the one that screwed it up, or I'm gonna be the one that's gonna get the shit, right? So I don't want to give anybody the opportunity to dump on me. So, so I never asked. So I don't really know what happened. But anyways, I was supposed to ink Cyberforce. That was my image book. And then my other image book was Wetworks. So I worked out a deal with Will's Portatio that I was going to ink Wetworks. And so actually it wasn't me and Will's, it was me and Jim. Jim and I worked out the deal for Wetworks. And so that never happened because the book was never drawn. And so having hindsight now, looking back, if I would have not done cable, if I wouldn't have stayed the course that was right for me personally, I would have been sitting on my hands that first year or two of Image Comics, because I think there was one issue of Cyberforce that came out that first year. I don't think he even put out the second book. If he did, it was towards the end of the year. So there would have been one book that I would have worked on, and then Wetworks didn't happen at all. So I wouldn't have had anything to do for the whole year. I would have had one book, and that's it. So it was good for me personally, the way it worked out. I mean, would it have been great to have been the inker on Cyberforce? Yeah, it would have been fun. Would it have been awesome to be the inker on Wetworks? Yeah, but the thing is, Black and White came out of that. My time at Extreme Studios came out of that. I learned a lot about the industry. I learned a lot about publishing your own books, promoting your own books, all those type of things, working out of Extreme Studios. And I wouldn't have got that. I wouldn't have met Cedric if I didn't go down that route. So it kind of worked out for me. And to be honest, I mean, Matt Banning, I think, who was inking Silvestri later, I think Mark inked his first issue himself. But I mean, Matt did an amazing job. You know, he got some good talent out of that. So so I don't think, you know, the way it all worked out, I think it worked out perfect. I think Mark got a great dedicated inker, worked out of the studio there with him. So you can't ask for more than that. So you guys keep in mind, if there's anybody coming in, I am going to show some breakdowns. I'm going to show some finishes of Black and White work. So I'm teasing it at this point. I'm going to see what Trevor says. I think that was me, Art, LOL. Things got hard and I kind of fell apart. Yeah, but like no harm, no foul. I mean, things happen. The amazing thing is sometimes like Trevor was like the #1 guy, and then I had Taylor Grosso. And so one of the things about Hack Shack is it was always a tier kind of system. So there was always somebody that would come in, and then there was a middle, and then there was a top guy. And so Trevor was my top guy at the time, but Taylor was coming up the ranks. And so I didn't really know she had the talent that she had until I just dumped Trevor's workload on her. And holy shit. You know, sometimes you just don't know. Like a diamond in the rough, you don't know until, you know, the shit hits the fan. And man, she stepped up and she kicked ass. So all good. I think the system at Hack Shack Studios worked. There were a lot of great talent that came out of that studio. And would I want to go back to that? I would never want to go back to that. That was so much work and so much variables, like putting that much stock into other people. You know, it was tough, man. It was very, very frustrating. Let me see what Joe says. The bros should do a third printing tiki of your characters. It would be good tier for your next campaign, or 3D printed. I don't know. I mean, all this stuff sounds good, but who would do it? Like, we're so busy just doing the book, um, you know, kind of thing. Oh, my full name is Trevor Scott Cameron, so confused with is understandable. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there was a Trevor Scott that I started Hack Shack Studios with. I met him in a life drawing class at a junior college. So I just needed some help. He came in, and then one thing led to another. And he needed money. I needed help. So it started working out. So that was Trevor Scott. And then later, he was like the first hire that Jim Lee hired because, you know, for Wildstorm or Homage, because he'd already worked with Trevor through me in Hack Shack Studios. So we were doing his backgrounds and stuff like that. So there was Trevor Scott was kind of part of that group that did all those X-Men books. And so Trevor Scott Cameron came in like decades later. So Trevor Cameron did the main book I remember is Hawkman. He worked on Hawkman with Joe Bennett. Healthy Bear, I love the Hullaballoo. Yeah, good morning, Hullaballoo. Let's see what Joe says. Art, do you remember the colorist name? Tyson, was that Wengler? Wengler? No, I do not. He worked with me back on a couple years ago, MGM and he had a interesting story with Mark. No, I don't. We got Gray Wolf in the house. What's up? We got Champ. I almost said it wrong. Champ Jetty. Art equals a living legend. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. How you doing, brother? Love your work. Love your coloring. Sean has a YouTube channel where he paints. He actually does work. You guys can watch it. Watch it happen. I had a lot of fun on that Graham Nolan closeout with you. We were talking about Universal Monsters and King Kong and stuff. That was a lot of fun. CG is the place to be, baby. Cedric says, I love visiting your studio out in Anaheim Hills. You had a great setup. Plus, you were just a few doors down from Liquid Colors, Chris and Arn working on Joe Mad's book. Yeah, at one point, we shared the same studio. So there was Jeff Matsuda. There was, oh my gosh, Chap Yape. There was Sam Liu. There was another guy. He ended up doing animation with them. Hawk June. And then later, Chris came over, and Aaron, and they were like the Liquid Color guys. And I remember them designing the logo and stuff like that. And actually, out of that studio was their first color work. Their first color work was my Marvel Tryout book cover. So that was Liquid's first color work outside of Image. So I got them that work, and then I think Jeff and I were doing some work together in the X office, and we got them work as well. I think they were coloring the X Factor covers that Jeff and I were working on. We did the whole book too. So Jeff was doing the penciling, I was doing the inking on X Factor. And then those guys said that they were going to leave. And so I left before they left. And so they kept that studio going. And then I moved 2 doors down. I got a killer deal from the landlord. I was subleasing from the Nixon Library and Estate in Anaheim Hills. And so they had the warehouse in the back, and I had the office space in the front. So, yeah, there was a brief moment, a couple months that they still had that original studio that we started together, and then I had the other studio. Yeah, so there was a lot of Extreme guys that were trying to figure out what was going on because Extreme was kind of falling apart. And so you guys would come over and just see how we were doing it. Um, because most of those guys at Extreme Studios never had any mainstream experience. Hell to the chat. Hey, Kino. Nailed it. I swear art looks more young. These deals with Mephisto must work. Damn. I don't know about that. Black and White plus Badass Comics IP. James Bond meets Terminator meets Bubblegum Crisis. If you haven't got it, don't miss out on the next book. Art's work on this is next level, top tiers. Oh, thank you, man. Check is in the mail, Joe. All right. So as promised, I will actually now show you what breakdowns look like, what finishes look like, and kind of go into more detail because I think pictures are always best when you see images. So let me see. I click this button, I pull this lever, I click that, I click Windows, I go here, I share, and this is what you guys should be seeing. You guys should be seeing. This is Alan Patrick's breakdowns. So you can see there's actually some shading in this, which the original version didn't have. He's from Brazil, I believe, and so there's a little bit of a language thing. So I asked him if he could clarify some of the drawing, and I don't know, he kind of misunderstood. So then he brought some shading in to like that second and third panel, and then that was that fifth panel there with the boot. And I was like, you didn't really have to do that, but I just let it go. And then I ended up, whatever the question was or whatever I needed him to do, I ended up drawing myself. So that's the way these things usually work. So if you look closely, it's kind of misleading. This is kind of low res, but it's kind of misleading the detail or the finish level of it. So you can see like the hand is our basic shapes. The hand with the blade, and then the other hand is kind of all busted up. Like I should get my tool out, and then I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So let me find this. So like this hand right here, you can see it's kind of busted up. It's not really structured very well. So, and then there's like the space missing here. Like what is this? You don't know. So you got to kind of figure out. The face is kind of like right here, isn't really developed. So there's a space missing here. There's the chin missing here. Does he have a mustache? You don't know. Like what do you do in this area here? So there's a lot of open territory. Like this gun, like there's no detail at all. I don't even really know what this area back here is. So you got to kind of make stuff up. There's tangents here, so you got to kind of watch out for stuff. These guys back here, like, what the heck is that? Like, who knows? And then there's like this area right here that isn't even there. Like all this, like once you really start looking at it, it's very incomplete. Like what's going on here? Is there a belt? What is this? Like what is happening here? Like I don't even really know. So then of course there's like the shading, the shadows, the hatching that isn't here. But then you look like, what is this? you know. Um, he brought some shadowing into this, which quite frankly I didn't need. I just need more detail. Like, what is the gun? What are the details on the rifle here? And what are the details here? Like, what is that? I don't really know what that is. So you got to kind of read between the lines. You got to figure stuff out, which for me is a lot of fun. Like this hand, like what's going on? Is this a thumb here? Like, you don't know. There's a big open spot here. Like, what is this, like, knob thing? Like right here? Like, what is that? So the idea is, he's just giving you basic proportion, placement, composition, stuff like that. Like you can see this isn't even straight. There's a curve to it. So you got to kind of structure all that stuff up. What is this? You don't know. So there's a lot of stuff like that. And then you look at the hand. It's not really finished up. There's no knuckles. I don't know. I should get a darker red. This is kind of a weak pink. We don't need weak pinks. But you can kind of see, like, there's just no detail with the hand. There's no fingernails. There's no knuckle details. There's no back of the hand. Just stuff like that. Let's get rid of all that. And so I'm going to go panel by panel. So this is like, I think this character has a backpack. I think this is a handle or a strap, and that this is the backpack. You know what I mean? But you don't know, especially if you don't have any other pages. So you have nothing to compare it to. And so then this guy is very vague, but it's okay because he's really in the distance. And there's some busted up, like this right here isn't correct. It looks awkward and weird. This hand is drawn very weird. This face, like, you can see, like, what is this? Like, you don't even know. Yeah. And he sends this stuff kind of low res too. And so this backpack, you can kind of start seeing that it's a backpack, but there's not a lot of detail to the backpack. There's not a lot of detail to the face. Even though it's small, this is really vague. There's not a lot of structure to this boot. You don't know what this stuff is here. Is it in the foreground? Is it mid-ground? Like, you don't really know. So there's a lot of stuff here. And it's not letting me. Come on, you piece of shit. What the? Come on. I'm trying to move the page over. There it goes. It's being touchy. So this is a new villain. Her name's Juju. You can see there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on. There's no hand drawn. I think the arms look awkward to me. Like right here, there's just some awkwardness to it. This arm right here is really, really messed up. And I'm not trying to cast shade on anybody. I'm just kind of showing you what you get when you work from breakdowns. And so also, I thought she looked a little thick around the waist. And I thought her chest was a little awkward, like it's flat right here. So, they should not be necessarily that big, but more rounded. And then you can see, like, right here. There's just details that aren't there. You know, I had moved this because he had, so that's why this part isn't here. So she was, his original drawing, you can kind of see this blank spot here. She was over here, like she was leaning like this. So she was like really leaned like this. I thought it looked a little too exaggerated. And also this guy here, his name's Bill Gaines. He was still very straight up and down. So I thought it looked really awkward. So I moved her more in a straight up and down, even though she's still angled, but she could be angled from, wow, something's going on with my computer. Let me see. There we go. She's still angled, but not to the point that it looks like she's angled because she's moving forward, not that the camera's tilted. Before it was a really extreme camera angle. So there's that. So here's the page again, and let me show you what I did with it. So this is what it looks like when you finish with ink. So you can see there's a lot of drawing here. There's a lot of me bringing, you know, elements to it that didn't exist before. You know, rendering, shadows, even drawing, like figuring out how this guy's shirt works, where all these folds. I gotta turn this mode into RGB. Okay, let's see if it'll do it now. Okay. So like all these folds here on this guy's sleeve, like that's all me, you know, working all this stuff out here. I still didn't do a lot of detail with the gun, but I did bring in some shading. This hand wasn't there, not really. So I brought that in. You can see these guys in the background. I kind of, these guys back here, even though they're really tiny, I drew faces on them. I worked out some shading, some details. I figured out all this stuff here, that it was a backpack, you know, stuff like that. And obviously all the background, those things. So, wow, this isn't letting me do this. Okay, there we go. All right, so then the second panel, you know, he indicated these blacks, which was probably something I would have done anyway, but it was one less thing that I had to do. So then, you know, I brought the lighting into the leg here, followed it through, and then added some of the shadowing here as well. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to bring some kinetic energy to it. So I didn't want to do these background elements as solid blacks or solid images. So I drew them kind of like action lines. Like one of the things you can do in comics is you can do stuff like this with backgrounds, and it gives like movement. In lieu of action lines, they give movement to things. So if I would have done those as like either outlines or a solid black, it would have looked stagnant. So then I added some of these little lines here. And the reason is these are kind of pseudo action lines. Like in the old days, they would have done like something like, you know, really major, you know, with action lines, you know, something like that. But modern comics aren't really done like that. They're a little bit more sophisticated. So you got to try to get that same effect in there without, you know, bringing those big, bold action lines in, which I don't really have a problem with. I like that stuff. But I think more contemporary comic books don't have that. And so then this guy, if you remember here, he didn't have any shadowing on him at all. And so one thing about the breakdowns is it gave me this idea. So this temple back here had very little rendering. It's pretty much the way he drew it. I just inked it. And the reason is I wanted to push it into the background. So if you notice, it becomes a focal point. This becomes a focal point just because it's not heavily rendered and it's not shadowed. There's no solid blacks in here. So I kept the solid blacks on the figure here, this Indiana Jones guy. His name's Bill Gaines. And then on the background elements. So I wanted to kind of use this as a framing device for this. So there is method to the madness. And then you can see I still kept a bend to it, but it's not as exaggerated. His blade here. So there's still a little bit of a curve to it. So some of the stuff is like, when in doubt, you know, black it out. So I assume this was some kind of strap. So I didn't want to do it solid black. So once again, you know, the action line kind of idea that I showed you in the panel before, I did the same thing with the hatching. So this is like a subliminal, like, action line to help you focus on the blade and the action of what's going on there. And then, of course, you know, you can see the hand, you know, all the work that was done to resolve the hand that wasn't there. So then, yeah, this is going to be quite detailed, you guys. So I hope you find it interesting. I thought it would be fun to do. So you can see the sleeve where I was saying it was kind of busted up. I kind of just did a solid black and I built it out. And there's one thing that I could go back and just for consistencies, but in the later pages, he has a full jacket. It's not pushed up like it is here. So I could go back and fix that here, but I think it's such a minor thing. I don't think anybody's really going to notice. And then you can see how I kept this guy simple. You know, I didn't go in with a lot of detail, just kind of put him in the shadow, push him back like he's walking away. And then this guy right here is kind of partially. So I didn't detail the arm area here because I wanted to make it look like it's kind of fading into like this guy's lighting. So it kind of is pushing it back. And then this guy, I kind of put a little bit of a halo around him so you could pay attention to him. Sadly, I really didn't resolve this hand any better than the layout was. It's still kind of awkward and weird, but it's such a minor thing. You got to kind of pick your battles on things. Otherwise, you'll never get anything done. And so I'm still 100% happy with the resolve of this face, but it's pretty good. And this figure is going to be really, really small. So I wanted to bring focus to this guy, like you know, that action line thing I was talking about. But I didn't want to make it like old school. So I didn't do that. But if you can see, the rendering is kind of there. It's more subtle, it's more subliminal. And also it's kind of like, the reason I wanted to do this is it isolates him, I think. Like he's alone now. So between the gesture that Alan Patrick put together, which is great, and then just the way it was all rendered and shadowed, I think he looks isolated. And so I wanted to bring a lot of kinetic energy to the boot and this whole area of the panel. So, and I wanted to make it look like if this little artificial light wasn't there, he would be totally in black. You know, he would be in black. And then, but I didn't want to do the whole panel black because then it becomes flat. So then I drew this rendering over in here and across this way so it didn't look heavy and flat. And then I brought the black area down here, because also if you do too much black on top, things look heavy compositionally. So you should always try to weigh things down with your solid blacks or your black areas on the bottom of the panel. And I have a theory about that it's like the way everything works in the world, like the sky is open, the ground is busy. Like everything in our world, like there's busy stuff lower, and as you go up, it becomes more simplified. So I think we're just kind of used to seeing that, and I think it also gives solidity to things. It anchors it. So then we got the payoff panel. So the reason they were all running is because of Juju. So you can see some redraws on the face. Like I was saying, the chest area is more resolved. I brought in her waist. She was a little thick in the breakdowns. And so one of the major things I did is I thought the arms looked awkward the way he had drawn them. And also there were no hands. So I drew the arms. I redrew the arms, and then I drew hands onto her, which I think helped out, because I think sometimes it looks like a cheat and it looks awkward if you can't see their hands. So it looks like either the penciler's trying to hide something, like they didn't want to draw something, or it just looks awkward when you see it. So I can go real quick and I can do some comparisons. So I can got panel 1 here. Let me go to panel 1. So I'll just do some quick side by sides. So then this tier here. So you can see how it starts looking dimensional, details, complete it. And I hope it doesn't come across that I'm kind of bagging on Alan's work, because I'm not. I think it's exactly what I need. I have enough skills that I can finish it up and we can keep moving forward. So let's do the last panel. So I kind of like the hands down, because it makes her look like she's moving forward more, like her upper body. So I do like the gesture, but I think it looks awkward. So I wanted to put the hands forward like, she's more of a threat, like she can do something with her hands. Also, I think, like for me compositionally, your eye, when you do stuff like that, you have things crop out like that, your eye goes down instead of staying on the image. And I wanted you to stay on the image. So I wanted her to be complete, hands and everything. So I wanted you to focus on her more so than like here. I think you always have to be aware, like subliminally, your eye goes away instead of over this way. Or in my case, what I wanted to do is I didn't care about this guy in the foreground. To me, he's just framing device. I wanted you to focus on her. So it's all compositionally there, but I think by bringing the hands up, you just see her. So I'm real happy with the character design that I came up with for her. She was used in the 95 versions, and she looks completely different. So this is a little bit, the story arc is a little based on the 95 ongoing black and white. It was called Codename Black and White. So it's a little based on that, but it's just kind of, there's a little bit of a tie-in, but not much. And so here is 3. So this is I'll go faster on this. This one image too. Here's my computer's not, it's kind of freezing. It's not, it's just one image. So I thought she looked a little muscular, a little overly developed. At first I thought it looked a little awkward too, like a little weirdly staged. So I changed a couple elements, and I think it came out a lot better. Bill Gaines, this Indiana Jones guy, he looks awesome. So when I got that first page and started on it, I didn't have all these details like the strap, the satchel, the gun, the backpack. I didn't really have that worked, like a visual for it. So let me do this. I got to change it to, there we go. Okay, so you can also see, like, this is the backpack here. I guess it's around one shoulder. So here's the strap, but you don't see the other part of the backpack. So there's stuff like that are happening all the time. And then you look at like this shape right here. Like, what is that? Like, it's like, oh, well, I think it's part of the backpack. So you got to really, you pay attention, figure stuff out. There's details that he didn't put on, like she's got feathers here that he didn't add. Also, these feathers that are down here are too low, so they should be coming out at this area here. So there's just like some costume inconsistencies. Also, this would go above the chest here, not onto the side of it. So then also he gave her kind of a realistic eye here, and she just kind of has these blank orbs for eyes. And so you'll see with my final rendition, so you can see the eye is more like that stylized character. You can see I put her crown like on model. So also there's one thing that I'm happy, and it was a last minute catch. He had a solid line drawn here, and you can see it here. And like your gut would be like to do this as a solid black, right? But that, I'll tell you right now, it never ever works, and it doesn't work on female characters. So if you're thinking, you're going to put a solid black, even if it's more realistic, don't do it. And so I also had a thicker line drawn for this holding here. I thinned it out digitally when I did the digital finishes, or cleanups, I should say. So I think it looks more elegant, and it looks better than this big solid black shape there. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm kind of breaking up the blacks in subtle ways, like here on the tree trunk. There's there's marker dry brush there. And so I'm probably more so than before, I want to do a black and white version of black and white. My computer's being a wang doodle. Come on. All right, here we go. It's still not doing it. It's kind of frozen. There we go. Let me see. There we go. Yeah, it froze for a minute. Sorry about that. But here's that arc that I was telling you about. You know, the fur goes around her collar, kind of thing. So it's little subtle things. Also, I kind of played with her waistline a little bit as well, and I smoothed out the kind of muscle. She's a little muscular, and also I put this area on model. He didn't have the costume quite right, and then, like I said before, I added the feathers and kind of brought out some of the fur around her wrists, and I'm not sure if I think I added this fur here too. It wasn't there. And then, like I said, I moved these up. So there's a lot of little changes. And if you look at her overall, like her thigh isn't as muscular, and so it doesn't look as kind of posy, I guess, like she's flexing. And then this hand, I completely redrew it, and then I brought it back to this, and I'll compare it after I give you like a full scan of this. So legs less muscular, and then you can see all the jungle stuff that I just brought in detail, shadows, rendering, you know, all kinds of stuff. I thought this came out pretty cool. Some of my favorite stuff is just like right in here. I like organics. Like I just took a marker and I just started scribbling, which is what it looks like. It's kind of controlled scribbling. And then I just started like throwing black shapes down with the marker. So I didn't pencil any of this tree stuff in. I just kind of drew it with the inks. A lot of the stuff I drew with the inks. I didn't pencil in, but the trees, I don't think any of it's penciled in. So you can kind of see the marker strokes, but when it's smaller, it just kind of looks more organic because it's going to be smaller than this. So I thought this page came out pretty cool. Let's do a comparison, a side-by-side. Well, I can't quite do that. I don't have the technology. Actually, I just don't have the time. All right, so let's blow it up a little bit. We'll take it like in thirds, like upper third, and then boom, boom. Would that be upper third? Upper third here. So breakdowns, finishes. You can see like the feathers are bigger, the hair's resolved. Like I said, her crown is on model and finished up. The eye is different. I'm really happy with the way that hand came out. It's her right, our left, because I changed the fur and then added the feathers. And then you can see her costume detail on her rib cage here. That's the old design. This is the new. And then, of course, just all the background, the trees, everything like that. pretty much just kind of scribbles. You can see there's really no, they're just kind of just thrown in there, indicated, and then resolved. And one of the things I wanted to do with this jungle is I didn't want to make it look light and friendly. So I tried to bring as much black and darkness as I could to it. And I think it came out pretty good. So let's do the middle third, focus on Bill Gaines. Let me scooch this over a little bit. So you can also see her hand, the one that's pointing at him. It's the pinky and the fingers. There's something going on here that it doesn't look right to me. I go on aesthetics, and the arm is kind of bent, like I think awkward. So I reworked the arm a little bit and then redrew the hand. So to me, sometimes it's like just subtle things like that make a difference. So you can see the fur around her wrist, the feather is there, and then the finger is, well, the hand is redone. And of course, her thigh is not quite as big and beefy looking. So I kind of brought some detail in, but not overly so. So I didn't accentuate it to the extreme he did. So I softened it up. I thought the way he drew her foot and the way I rendered it, it's subtle, but it's really effective. Like you can start seeing the little bottom of her foot here. And then I like the ankle, just a little bit of a lighting, like shadow on the ankle. Just to toot my own horn. And then I wanted to kind of push this leg back a little. So I put it in a little bit of shadow. So hopefully the colorist, it'll indicate to push this area of the leg, push it back into shadow. I like stuff like that, where we can push things back with the ink or with like the coloring. And hopefully, if your colorist is good, they'll pick up on that. And Brian is really good at that. And so then you can see just all the detail. I added some to the bottom because compositionally, he's a little short from the format size. So I added to the bottom, as you can see there. So the plant's a little bit more substantial in the foreground, and the water. So you can kind of see how I changed some stuff, how I detailed, how I prioritized the shadows, the black shapes, stuff like that. There was one thing over here, like where the Indiana Jones Bill Gaines guy is, and he didn't draw his leg through the foliage here. So I just threw a shape in front of his leg. So there's a shape behind this foreground leaf. And so then I just kind of obscured the black shapes behind his body. So these black shapes all in here, some of them are this tree here. So one thing I was trying to do with that, like I said, where you anchor things with black shapes, I started trying to make things look heavier as they went down. So the tree trunk area down here below Bill Gaines is in black. And so this right here is the tree as well. So I figured maybe have it pick up some light here, just so it wasn't just a flat black shape. So I did that as well here with this tree. Is I didn't want it a solid black, once again because it starts flattening things. So I gave a little bit of like it's in shadow, but not as harsh of a shadow. So if you can see, like one of the things that's tricky about stuff like this is bringing too much black onto the top of the composition, because, like I said, it can become top heavy. So I'm skirting it right now. Like this is barely working for me. Like it still feels like there should be more heavy black shapes on the bottom here. But the only way I could do that, I think, successfully is to just make that water area more black. And I didn't want to do that, but I did, before I signed off on this totally, I just took a marker and I went in and like stuff like this. Wait a minute, it's too big, too big. Like stuff like this, and stuff in here, and right here. I brought more black shapes in just to try to help anchor it, because it was looking a little top heavy. So now it's kind of a proper balance where there's just about as much black on the top as in the mid of the composition as is the bottom of the composition. Although the bottom still looks a little weak. If this was a character, if Juju, this female form, was had a different costume design, or like if that was Bill Gaines, I could have brought more shadow into it. But one thing I want to do with these characters, with her specifically, is I don't want to bring a lot of heavy blacks to it, just in the design elements, but not in like shading. So I could have done this shape here as a solid black, but I didn't want to. And maybe it's like a little bit of a pervert, like, well, you can kind of see up there, but but I think it kind of works. So I brought the heavy blacks into her little skirt thing here. But having said that, I might try this with a heavy black. I'll bring a black shape in here. But to me, it kind of starts flattening things, and then I mean, it could work, but then it feels like whenever I do stuff like that, then it feels like I need to start like maybe bringing some black shapes in there, and then maybe this rendering should be a little heavier, and maybe, having done that, maybe that's the way to go. In the chat, you guys let me know. Let me know if I should bring that shadow there. So that's pretty much, I'll come back, and I still have one more surprise for you guys, but that's kind of what it's about. Like that's the breakdowns and finishes. Okay, let me see. Okay. Damn, Art, you should get paid more to finish that. Well, I'm kind of paying myself on this. That's Indiana Jones. Yeah, it's pretty much Indiana Jones. Art, hopefully you got top billing for finishing things like that. Well, it's my book. So of course I'm going to get top billing. Drop in 3D assets. We'll do that. Uh, LOL, I kid. No, no 3D. His arms on the villainous are broken under the structure. Is janky. Exactly. Yeah. Hey, there's Kevin. Hey, Kevin. I forwarded your DM to Pamela. So she's trying to take care of that stuff now. She was up here earlier hoping you were in the chat. So love the stream. It is interesting to see the original breakdowns and then how you bring each piece to life. Well, I'm hoping, because sometimes these things can be boring. I never find them boring. I love behind the scenes anything, like even how like things are made, like mechanical things or like factories and stuff like that. I like all that stuff, writing, penciling, drawing, filmmaking, all that stuff. Omer Glitch says, Art, did you ink this traditionally or digital? Looks rad. It's all ink traditional. So I don't have the pages in front of me, but it's all traditional. Gray Wolf says that looks great, Art. Thank you, man. This is going to be volume 3. This is black and white volume 3. I figured I could show stuff now because it's going to be a little later that the campaign is going to launch. So hopefully you guys will forget about all about this stuff. Cedric says this is a great video that teaches finishing and comic storytelling straight from a Marvel Image Comics veteran. New comic artists should save this video. Thank you, man. That's very generous, Cedric. I appreciate it. Joe Bernard says, Art, this is so informative and awesome. Why I like the behind the scenes like they used to give with DVDs. Professor T-Bear. Yes. This is my School of Hard Knocks. Would charge bucks for this kind of hands-on video. I don't know what that is. Nomen? Omer says, we tend to look at face and hands, bodies, chest, boobs. Yes. Inconsistencies. Yeah, there's always going to be inconsistencies in anything, even filmmaking. Like sometimes you'll see it. And comics are no different. But there's there's stuff that you go, well, I could fix this, but it's going to take me an hour, right? So then you go, well, I could put an hour into this aspect, and get further ahead, or I could go back and do this, which most people won't even notice. So sometimes you have to make these decisions. Thank you, Kevin. I do appreciate it. Joe says his fingers on the splash page of her left hand are all broken and unstructured. It looks janky. Yeah, maybe that was it. And also the 2 fingers in the middle, they didn't seem connected. They seemed like you saw too much of them, like they were disconnected. Yeah, he did some great calf detail. I was this close to using it, but I just think it looks too much like a bodybuilder showing off, So I think like what I did, it took it from her looking posy, like a bodybuilder, like I'm showing off, to like something like now she's a little bit more imposing, and by softening it up, it sounds weird, but it focuses more on the things that I think you need to focus on versus that she's this muscular buff chick. I mean, she's obviously in shape, but the muscle detail is not really necessary. Let me see. Hey, Philip, what's up? Miss you, brother. Oh, what is that? Police. Everyone knows a finisher is the one that compensates for the penciler's deadline overage. And, yeah, most of the time. Most of the time. How does this? Just inside? Just inside. So you scan and ink or strictly conventional. These are scanned because um, Alan Patrick lives in Brazil, so it's easier and it's more cost effective if he just scans his is pencils. These are pencils. He's not doing these layouts digitally, so because you can tell. So he's doing the layouts. I could maybe ask him uh, to send the layouts, so maybe we can make them available in the campaign. I'm going to write that down if you guys are interested in maybe seeing. So we could do like the breakdowns, sell those, and then we can make available the finishes as well. So I know that's not what you're asking, but just gave me the idea. Um, yeah, these are traditional. So there's original artwork. It's 11 by 17, and like I said, I think his breakdowns are 11 by 17 as well. So I ink now with like, here's my Sharpie, here's my Micron. Micron makes where is it? It's a thicker marker as well. And so I use that sometimes in lieu of the Sharpie. But I've used the Sharpie so much, like I use them for my little thumbnails and details. You'll see one, I'll show it off. I'm pretty fast with it, and I can kind of get effects with it, like dry, like stuff. I can scribble with it and stuff. So it's actually a pretty fun tool for me. I like it. Oh, I got it. I hope I answered it. Yeah. Do you scan in ink or strictly conventional? Um, it is blue lines. Yeah. So if that's what you're asking, it's blue line and then ink conventionally. Wow. Nice and top heavy. No, Bill Gaines was the original character in the '95 Codename Black and White book. So we just kept the same name. So I like to do stuff like this because it's kind of like a tribute to the past. Because that story that Pamela and I came up with for Codename Black and White, it was an ongoing, and we never got to finish it. So this is kind of that story revisited. It's not quite the story, but the the bones of it, I don't really know how to explain it. There's some elements from that story that are in this, but it's not even really the story. It's really strange. So it's kind of like just kind of hybrids of bits and pieces that it's more like paying tribute to it than actually kind of remastering it or redoing the story. And then also the story was never finished. So we got 3 issues into it. We were working on issue 4, which I still have those pages. So maybe we could do something for like that as well if you guys are into like vintage image artwork. Let me see. Marcus says that's what I thought. The black shape on her leg, it pops her out a bit. So you're thinking I add those black under the buttocks, half that amount of blacks on that leg on the spread. I'll play with it. Art the Fixer T Bear, Doc Brewski, Kevin Graytone with Dark Shade. Try Graytone. You mean like hatching, like cross hatching Graytone? There's already that. I can maybe thicken up some of that hatching and fade it into a darker shape. I can do that, and probably that might be the way to go before you try the whole black shape, because I can I can play with it that way. It's not all or nothing. How's It Made is a great show. Oh, cool. I'm glad you guys are digging this. Thanks, Spaceman. Art is someone else doing the layouts for Black and White 3. I'm doing some of them, and then Alan Patrick is doing the layouts on some others. So it's a little bit of both, and it's just stuff that I'm going to do layouts on pages that I have specific things I want. But Aaron Sparrow and myself, we wrote, it's a full plot. Like it's panel 1, panel 2, panel 3 kind of thing. So to be honest, Alan doesn't really need it unless it's something specific. So like on some of the pages I'm working on that I didn't show you guys, he gave me the layout, Alan did, and then I drew some changes over the layout. So that's kind of the way it's been moving forward, and it's a lot faster that way. So I can just do like a thumbnail over it, and then scan that, send it, and then he can make the changes and send it back to me. So there's going to be, just like the creative process is never a linear one, so whatever works to take care of that problem. Make a sketchbook add-on. You mean like kind of show the process, the breakdowns and the finish inks? I could do that. But to get back to the Oodles, ooh, my hair, I just messed it up. The Oodles book is going to have some of this. So if we add pages to it, these are the type of pages I want to add. So we could do like a preview, a black and white preview in Oodles. We could do 4 pages. So I could do some of these breakdowns and finishes in there. So that's some of the cool stuff about the Oodles book. And if you guys haven't signed up for this book, please do so. I haven't really been out promoting it as much as I should. So if you guys like the content that I'm providing right now, the way to help out is I'll put the link in the description. Click that link, go sign up, and you'll be eligible with a backing for an exclusive mini print. And this book is going to look, well, it already looks brilliant. This campaign is gonna fulfill very, very fast. So if we don't hit those stretch goals with the variant, with the new cover and the 8 pages extra, then the turnaround on this will be fast, because I already have the files for this version of the book all ready to go. So if we build the book a little bit, it won't take that much time, but I'll add to it. So here's the link. Yeah, here's the link. So click on that link, you guys. Go sign up and then come back real quick. It shouldn't take you too long. So, oh, thanks. Joe says your finish has made her an imposing villainess, a la Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. She feels more natural and non-post. I love that Maleficent design. I hope that Juju, I feel like it's kind of iconic. It looks cool. And I got the idea for the face is there's this band that my daughter and I like. They're called Ghost, and he wears kind of this skull face mask. So it's a mask, but it's only like where that black shape is across her cheek goes to her mouth. So all this upper part is a mask with that crown shape. It's all exterior. And then her bottom part is her face. So she can move her mouth. So if it was a complete mask, unless it was skin tight or some kind of prosthetic, it wouldn't work. Hey, Jimmy Reyes, what's up? I got a pitch for you. I got an idea that I want to throw by you. I'm not even gonna try this name. Wasn't he the publisher of Warren Comics? Who's that? I don't know who that is. Maybe I should read these before I click on them. Did you ever do work for DC or just Marvel Image? I seem to recall a Superman art run. Am I nuts? No. I did Adventures of Superman for like 3 years. I did the Teen Titans for multiple years. I did Batman Outsiders. I did a Trinity like maxi series. It was a weekly book I did for DC. I did just about every character at DC. I did the book. I never did Justice League, but I did almost every title. I did a small stint on Wonder Woman, Detective, never the Batman book. So yeah, I got 40 years on and off at DC Comics. So I'd say probably my Marvel DC is about a 50-50. Not too into Zipatone these days. I would probably do an ink wash before I did Zipatone, and I thought about it. I'm still thinking about doing like an ink wash on this issue. No, no tattooing here. Absolutely not. Joe Bernardo, I saw Oodles of Doodles and I had to click on it. The art of Oodles of Doodles, the art for Oodles of Doodles looks awesome from the preview. You let us see. I'll be showing more of the interior pages as we get closer to the launch. Here's a link, you guys. Click it, please. Also, give me a thumbs up if you can. Helps the algorithm, helps get the eyes on it. So Omer says, yes, Art worked at DC before leaving the mainstream to go independent. Yeah, I was doing, just before I left, I was doing Super Sons, which was a very, very popular book. And DC did everything in their power to kind of destroy it. And I think eventually they did. Kevin Thompson says, Brother Blood villain from the Teen Titans. Yes. Oh, shit. Now I don't feel so original. Damn it, Kevin. I'm going to check. I'm going to look into that. Art was part PF, one of the most notable stories in Superman, Death of Superman. Yeah. The wedding, the engagement of Lois and Clark, yeah, all that stuff. Look for the documentary. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Just a little side note on the documentary. It's a great documentary, not just because I'm in it, but man, it covers just about everything Superman related. Cartoons, marketing, movies, comic book, everything. And I would do my thing. Okay, I got the camera on me, right? And so then there's the director, and he's asking questions, but I guess the questions get edited out. So you kind of got to answer the questions, but not get too much back and forth because he's not going to be in it, right? Not even his voice. And then there's, what do they call them? They're like a stenographer, like a court stenographer. There's a woman there, and she's writing down everything you're saying. She's writing it down. Like, it's weird. It's so artificial, right? And so, I'm sitting there. I'm good kind of on the fly, like stuff like this. Just like there's no expectations, there's no pressure. You just kind of hanging out and you're talking, right? I like that. I like to draw spontaneous. I like to play my music spontaneous. I don't like things too rigid. I don't like things structured because I get uptight. I get crazy, right? And so I did my thing, and I answered all his questions. And so then he goes, there's a few parts that I would like you to clarify or say again. And then he would ask me the question again, and then I would try to answer it. He goes, that's not the way you originally answered it. And I said, how did I originally answer? Like, I don't know. I just do things, like I'm just like this guy. I just make stuff up, I just do it. And so then the woman, it was so, it is strange. It is so weird. She read back what I said. And I was like, wow, that is really strange. Like somebody's writing, like everything I'm saying right now, somebody be writing it down. And a lot of it's just off the cuff stuff. It's not scripted. And so then she read the line back. He asked me the question again, and I did my best to answer the same way. And then he goes, when you said this part, you had the inflection here. And I'm like, I'll do whatever you ask me to do. And I said, but just know I'm not an actor. So if you want take 1, take 2, take 3, take 20, every one of these takes is going to be uniquely different because I can't do it the way you probably want me to do because I'm not an actor. And so we tried it a few more times. It was just crash and burn, man. I was just, she would read the line and then I'd go back to it. And then he'd go, well, maybe if you thought about this, like he's trying to be a director, maybe if you, whatever, put the inflection here or whatever. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, man. And then I was, what is her name? Margot Kidder? Is that the one that played Lois Lane in the Christopher Reeves movies? I look up and she's just kind of walking around, and I can't do this anymore. And I'm not sure, but I think I said, I can't give you what you want. I can't do what you want. And so he goes, okay, I appreciate it. And the thing, what I did do is I brought artwork. So I brought like the wedding, the engagement stuff I brought to the show. They didn't have that. They I'm not sure they had even the wedding. They didn't have the wedding stuff. So all that stuff I brought. So I had the wedding album, the comic book. I didn't have any original artwork for that, but I have, hold on, since I'm going into detail on this. I still have this piece of artwork. I'll never sell it, but this is also a finished job. So this was in the day. This is probably 35 years or longer. So this is the piece of artwork that they used for the documentary. So this is Lois and Clark telling Jimmy Olsen that they're engaged. And so this lovely is Pamela. That's Pamela T. Bear. And this guy, this cad right here, that's me. And so these two guys over here, one of those is Trevor Scott, and the other one is John Owen. So they were working at Hack Shack Studios at the time. So anyway, like I said, it's a great documentary. We cover a lot, but the whole wedding stuff and then the engagement was brought up by me. So that's pretty cool. They did a little segment on all that stuff. Oh, Bill Gaines was a publisher at EC. Sorry, everybody, my mistake. I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, my wife came up with the name, so she must have been channeling something. I bet I hit a home run. I'll send you my pitch. The master of the pun. Yeah, I could never do that. I couldn't be an actor. For the life of me, like, okay, stand on this mark, look in this direction, then look over at this mark, and then say your line while you're walking forward and doing this other. Man, there's no way I could do that. I don't know how those people do it. He wanted you to do inflections on your way you talk. LOL. He wanted me to raise my voice here and say the other thing like this here. It was too much. Too much. I said, you got it all on tape. What do you need? Throw me that pitch, Art. Just don't throw like a girl. Dude, I played baseball most of my life. I played high school ball. No way I throw like a girl. Margot Kidder, yeah. The documentary was so total on Superman. It shows how important Superman was pop culture. I loved how they talked about your involvement. Yeah, it goes into detail, man. Even like Gene Simmons talks about the Ubermunch. I can do multiple things, Jimmy. I can do that. I just can't do it 20 times the same way. Aren't you paying attention? You can be replaced, Mr. Heckler. All right. Well, I know I've been teasing this thing, and I am going to show it off. I will show you what I've been teasing you with. Doot 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 doot. Yeah, we're wrapping up 2 hours. These things always work about 2 hours. All right. This is also the character Juju. So this is my layout. It's very, very tight for a layout, but is my layout nonetheless. Sometimes I get a little crazy, but like I said, with the Sharpie, things like that, you can see the hair. It's just all scribbled in with the Sharpie. Sometimes I'll render areas just so I remember that's what I want to do. But this is a little bit more detail than I wanted, or that I usually do, I should say. And so when you see the finished version, you'll see that her face was kind of redrawn. The hair is redone. Some of the costume details are different. But then there's that. And then I believe, what is this? Here's the pencils. So you can see the face a little shorter. Her crown or whatever is different. The hair, you can see I erased it. I was still kind of experimenting with some stuff. So this is still kind of working out character design too. But most of it is in place at this point. So I really went into detail on these skeletons because I have drawn skeletons in the past, but never really like full body. So rib cages are always a little challenging. So I wanted to make sure I got that right. I wanted to make sure that the rendering on the skeletons was cool. So like I said, hair, some of the costume details, and then we got inks. So you can still see the face was changing a little bit. The hair obviously was reworked. So it's a little bit more, what do they call it, like cornrows or whatever. And so this skeleton over here, right here, is the face is wow, my computer's being a weirdo. This face right here was reworked completely. And so this is pretty much all there. And so got it to this stage. And then I just got this back the other day. So, you know what? If my computer will allow me to do this, I don't know if you can see that. I shouldn't do it on air. But I'll find it. I have his original version somewhere. So I'll come back. I'll grab it since we're doing detailed stuff. So how would I do this? I know how I do this. Takes me a while, but I'll figure it out. I always do. Oh, no, that's not it. Where's the original? Did I save it? All right, well, it's close enough. It's close enough. So I'll come back and I'll share, present, and this is the flats, but he had a version before the green. So I did a version. I deleted all of the stuff. I should have kept it for this, but I brought the greens into the composition, and he had all these like different colors. You know, the water was blue, and it was really busy. There were purples and stuff in the backgrounds. You can see some of the pinks, and so I just went, you know, we got to unify this composition. It's all over the place. So then I did a version. I digitally colored a version where I just kind of did a knockout with like the backgrounds in green. So my version, there was a light source coming from that window. So there was like a yellow green. So it was radiating. It looked like it was radiating from a source. He's just got like green hues over everything. But I still think it came out pretty good, pretty badass. I like Brian's coloring. He's really good. And yeah, I think this came out great. So this might be like with all those different things I showed you, the layouts, the pencils, the inks, you know, the coloring. This might go into that Oodles book as well. So once again, you guys, I'm going to go out on a plug. The Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. This book is completely, the files are ready to go. We sold out the first time, first 500 books sold out. So we're bringing this back for a second printing, and we're looking at probably stretch goaling, a new cover, and 8 new pages. And if we can get those 8 new pages, that Juju piece with all the behind the scenes stuff in there, that will all be in the book. As long and if you guys want, I'll do the black and white breakdowns and finishes. I'll do that as well. So here is the link. You guys click that bad boy. Go sign up. All you need to do is just give me your email, and we'll let you know when this thing goes live, when it gets hot, when it goes hot, and you'll get a with the backing, you'll get a free mini print exclusive to this campaign. So I will let you guys go. Thank you so much for hanging. Spread the word, you know, if you can on your social media. Share the Oodles link, and let's keep this thing going and get the word out for Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. That is my new campaign coming up for next month, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing. So take care, you guys. Enjoy your day, and I'll